Hi there, Cancer. Welcome to your August 2025 tarot reading. Let me start this by pulling 3 cards to see what's been going on for you. What are the present energies you're working with in August? And let's see what else is yet to come for you. That will be a kind of bird's eye, big picture overview. And then throughout the duration of this reading, I'll pull more cards to get deeper into the messages that are coming through. So bearing in mind, Cancer, eclipse season will be beginning, in my eyes at least, on the 23rd of August with the new moon in Virgo. That really won't intensify in whatever that storyline is bringing in for you next in your life until the month of September. But we are going to be getting some sort of a glimpse. I saw somebody put up on Instagram something like, why do the weeks or days leading up to the eclipse or eclipse season feel like you're playing a game of Jumanji? You know, Cancer, you're ruled by the moon, so I feel like you, more than any other sign, is so much more in tune to the kind of subtle changes, never mind anything else that comes through as more of a major beginning in your life or something coming to an end. You really are able to feel your way through life and all its intricacies and just all of the little bits and pieces that many others, myself included, would miss out on. Okay, so let's bring it back to August 2025 for you. I have the Queen of Pentacles. You've been thriving lately. To see this energy in the past would tell me that the last kind of major turning point you've been working through has been one of sort of fine-tuning everything in your world to make it better, to make it more luxurious, more comfortable, more harmonious for you, more beautiful and aesthetic. This could come through by way of health improvements, financial improvements, home and living situation being improved as well. The 9 of Wands is here for August, and then I have the Judgment card as an upcoming energy. So it wouldn't be eclipse season without some awakening. They've actually called the Judgment card awakening in this reading, in this deck, I should say. Yeah, okay, well that makes sense. So, you know, I said you were very tuned in and dialed into the sort of subtleties that are happening undercurrent. And I think that you're kind of waiting for many of your peers or people in your life to kind of catch up to speed with you. If you notice in this version of the Awakening card, there's only one person waking up and taking their blindfold off. Everybody else, I think, is still asleep. So you might be sort of waiting for the penny to drop so that you feel like something more productive can be done. It's almost like you've been waiting for other people in your peer group or your family or your community to identify an issue, a concern, to really see what you're seeing here. And that might be beginning to happen towards the end of the month. I think that the pace and tempo in August is going to feel a lot more energized for you, but I do get the impression that you may need to balance all of the hard work you've been doing with some of this rest. I think, Cancer, the Queen of Pentacles is saying, like, okay, it's a good thing that you're well resourced, that you feel fully stocked, so to speak, mind, body, and soul, that you're sort of feeling replenished and in a good place emotionally, physically, spiritually. And that is going to be important because it does seem that in August, there's something that you are driven towards pushing forward or getting as close to finishing as possible. And I think that you're going to be pushing your own self to your maximum capacity and to your limits on something. So it's going to be about turning up the heat on something that you really are passionate about bringing to its completion, or like I said, as close to that finish line as you can possibly go in August. So let's get into this reading now by pulling more cards. So Cancer, if you feel like this reading was resonating with you and you'd like to hear more, I will be sitting right here to do an extended reading after this for your sign. And like I did mention, just that eclipse season, we're about to enter that, and it's going to last all the way through September into the first week of October. So what I'm going to do, if you sign up to the community where I'm hosting the extended version of this reading, in August, I'm also going to be releasing a 6-week overview only over there exclusively. And that will be taking you through, for the sign of Cancer, the eclipse season that we're entering from late August until early October. So it might be just a good time to consider that. If not, let's just get right back into your reading by clarifying the Queen of Pentacles. The Moon, the World. Oh wow, big energies for you. Okay, just when you thought you were done with something lately, there was a very major unlocking of a mystery or a piece of the puzzle. So I say that because Judgment is the second last card, World card is the last card. But you thought you were done with this because the final card is coming up in your past. The Moon card has this kind of unveiling effect. It reveals what has been hidden. It kind of unlocks the mystery of what had been previously unknown to you. So something has been now revealed to you in a major way that sheds a lot of light on something that had been plaguing you, bothering you, just kind of confusing you. This might have been that somebody came to you with information, revealed a secret to you. This might have just been that there was something kind of hanging in a realm beyond your control, right? Or just outside your sphere of understanding or ability to see. Sometimes the Moon card can leave us feeling like we're in the dark. It can be, at worst, deceptive. Really, I think the true heart and soul of this energy, it's a Pisces energy. So if we know anything about the energy of Pisces, and as a collective, and like I said, Cancer, you're so dialed in to everything. The North Node is moving through Pisces since the beginning of this year. It will be for the rest of the year, all the way through to the middle part of next year. So collectively, we are kind of having our heads turned towards how we can amplify or dial ourselves into the energies that Pisces has to offer. And the Moon card being associated with that is all about like surrender, faith in the unseen, trusting in the divine plan, believing on some level, like this core foundational belief that everything unfolds as it's meant to. There are no mistakes. There's some sort of orchestration, and it's kind of hard to sort of orient ourselves like that in a practical way day to day. We get swept up in small picture thinking, or just kind of like just moving through day by day, taking it as it comes, not really investing too much into anything deeper than that. But lately, Cancer, I get the impression that you're having to, for some reason, trust in that unseen. Otherwise, the alternative, which I don't see you having taken, because the Queen of Pentacles is so grounded, so embodied, so like there's a thread holding you to this central pillar of integrity, so that no matter what happens in your external, you really have these beautiful principles and a sort of a inner security, peace, safety, and sureness of self, that when things on the outside to others might feel chaotic or uncertain or a little anxiety inducing, for you, you're really able to kind of tap into the best qualities of Moon card, which is, okay, I just am going to surrender and have trust that this is working out the way it's meant to for me. And with that has come some illumination. Maybe it happened under the last full moon. And when did we have our last full moon? We've just had a new moon in Leo, right? Next full moon is in August on the 9th in Aquarius. But what was before that? Friends, help me out here. Was it, why am I drawing a blank here? It was in July. New moon in Cancer. Was it a full moon in Leo? No. Damn, I'm all over the place here. I don't know. No, new moon Virgo, full moon Aquarius, new moon Leo, full moon Capricorn. Oh my gosh, I'm totally drawing a blank. I'll have it for you by the end of this reading, promise you that. Okay, I'm in my 3rd trimester of pregnancy. It's 30 something degrees outside. This might be why I'm looking a bit shiny. I have my own little thermostat happening. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is I'm making excuses for myself drawing a blank. But anyway, this illumination could have happened around the last full moon we had. I'm usually pretty able to just round those kind of dates off, but however, and because of where you've been at, Queen of Pentacles, and you've been training for this, you've been like, you know, really working on yourself and like figuring out what's important to you and just like living by a set of standards for yourself, and it's just really been working for you, so much so that I get you like in this World card now, you're like, you know, you're so brave. You know, no one's asking you to be fearless, but you're so brave and feeling ready to, I think this is very like, come at me world, like, what have you got to offer? I'm ready to take it all on. Okay, but basically, to be a bit more mundane, you thought something was done. You thought something was impossible. You thought something, you know, had reached its limit and its sell by date and it wasn't just going to be happening. So overall, you know, now something has changed and shifted and something has been made aware, you've been made aware recently that, okay, I'm not absolutely finished with that dream, that goal, that ambition, that project, that job, you know, there's still something more to it and I still have to figure something out. And that could be that 9 of Wands, like I still have to add a final touch here, right? There's still something that is going to take a little bit more of my time and effort and understanding and commitment. And you know, usually we see the 9 of Wands illustrated by somebody who's doing something like very physically vigorous, right? That, yeah, they might be stopping to take a rest in the image that usually is shown on the 9 of Wands. But in this one, like they're flat out lying down. So what you're doing is going to be rewarding. I ultimately do think that. Let's see what else is coming through with the 9 of Wands. But it is for sure taxing, physically as well as mentally, emotionally. Okay, yeah, 6 of Pentacles, and in reverse I have the Temperance card. Now, another person lying down in the grass in the 4 of Swords. And I am determined to get this freaking full moon of July it was in Capricorn on the 10th of July. So around the 10th of July could have been when you started to become aware of something that was missing, something that had been eluding you, something that is kind of an integral piece of the puzzle. So either something was sort of grinding to a halt then and you were giving up, or things were just about to turn around where you decided or saw, I'm not actually through with this yet. There's more than this than meets the eye, more to this than meets the eye. Okay. Anyway, so the 6 of Pentacles and Temperance in reverse. It's interesting because the 6 of Pentacles is a very balanced energy. 6 is an even number. There is quite a lot of equilibrium here. Both people are holding 3 pentacles. There's just a very kind of like even keel look to this card. So this is about balance. This is about mutual support, reciprocity, mutual give and take. Whereas the Temperance upright is incredibly tempered and balanced and moderated, but in the reversal, it actually is veering pretty far off course. It's like you would think that Temperance card doesn't have an extreme, but the reverse of Temperance to me is actually very extreme. So, okay, you've got this mission and you're almost done with it. It's almost over the line. Think about being quite close to the end of your labor, like that's my mantra, or or of a marathon or something like that. So you really are close to breaking through, and the last kind of leg of this does seem to be the most strenuous and difficult. And for that reason, whatever your approach to handling stress or difficulty, or when the going gets tough, right, is going to be where you're going to potentially face the pitfall of running to an extreme or not being able to stay balanced. So there's two timelines here. The Six of Pentacles, how would you stay the most balanced, the most kind of just in the flow state with what is unfolding for you in a kind of more inevitable way, I believe? Well, you might ask for support. You might also be open to lending a hand if that's appropriate, whichever suits you. You may be asking to borrow something, a car. You may be asking for advice, or perhaps, there's something you can do for another person that's going to make their journey a little bit easier. And this just keeps you in, for whatever reason. I don't understand exactly why this is coming up for you, Cancer, but you may know yourself why this would keep you centered and not kind of running yourself to an extreme of temperance in reverse. So we're seeing a hand, reaching out and almost uplifting or helping, a helping hand, something helping to ascend. I'm not sure, but in the reversal, it's almost like I feel like this is slipping away. So you don't want the contract to slip away, the agreement, the alliance. You don't want the friendship to dissipate if that's appropriate. It would be a shame, is basically what I'm trying to say, for something to fall apart at the 11th hour, or something to fizzle out or lose its spark or connection, simply because you were not able to manage the Nine of Wands. And don't get me wrong, it's no easy feat. The Nine of Wands is really for those who are brave enough to go the distance, those who are kind of ballsy enough to put themselves out there and take the risk and go the extra mile and put in all that effort. But it's about trying to keep other areas of your life balanced, because not everybody from the outside looking in understands your mission or your journey. And I think, Cancer, you might be a little guilty of that out of all of the signs, because you're so dialed in and in tune, and because you can read the undercurrent and the subtext and the glances, you almost assume other people can read your mind. And that's not going to work for this situation in August, because you don't know how other people around you are feeling. Although you can intuit, but you don't truly know. You can intuit that there's something up, or something's going great, or something is a vibe or not, but you may find it hard to understand what that actually boils down to. And I think as well, Cancer, you're so focused on these 9 wands and making sure that this doesn't kind of turn out to be a waste of time, or making sure that this pays off because of everything you put into it. So I just really get the impression that finding balance in your life, and if there's a part of your world that you feel like you might have been ignoring or not having a lot of time to, but yet you actually do still care or desire to continue that area of life, that hobby, that relationship, that time for yourself, whatever it may be. Potentially August would be a time to breathe a little life into that as something even really small, just carving out an hour even this month, or picking up the phone, or just doing something quite subtle to let that person, let the universe, let yourself know on a soul level that you are still there, you still care. And I get the impression that support is truly there for you this month. People want to help you. People would love to assist you, and you're doing them a favor too, because maybe this would be good for them for whatever reason, to be able to assist you. Okay, awakening is coming through with the High Priestess and the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. The High Priestess, intuition, just in a nutshell, okay? So you've been knowing something, Cancer. You have had a gut feeling, an instinct for something for a really long time now. And actually, it has been a source of discomfort for you. And Nine of Pentacles in reverse is a source of undermining, like you've been undermined because of this, or at least you perceive it's like basically you're dying for the opportunity, but potentially you won't because you have more grace than maybe I would. But you would say, you know, I told you so. You're dying for that moment. But whether or not you take that, I feel like just knowing what you know is vindication enough, and it's enough validation for your soul. Whatever your ego is looking for, well, that's another story altogether, and that's up to you. But the Judgment card and the High Priestess is like, you knew this all along, and you know what, it's taught you a valuable lesson, because the High Priestess is very passive. She has a little scroll here on her lap. She's like, I have the answers. I know what's going on. I have the occult knowledge, or I have the wisdom, or I have the tea, and I have the suss on this situation or person. And I'm no longer going to share my opinions. I'm going to treat them like my social security number. And it's for your own peace. It's to protect your energy, because in the past, when you have shared what you know, it has come at the cost of what the Nine of Pentacles in reverse is. Well, the Nine of Pentacles in reverse is something that is not really taken seriously because it isn't deemed to be a success or worthy. It seems just wasteful, kind of like, well, that's a waste of time, Cancer. Why do we have to talk about that? Why do we have to like go there? That's the kind of vibe I'm getting there as well. Okay, but for something else, Cancer, you've been kind of holding on to this kind of fear of yours about which is coming up for its expiration date now, right? Like these grapes in the reverse. They're sitting at the end of, you know, the bottom of your vegetable drawer in the fridge. Whatever's going on with them, they need to go into the trash. And I get the impression that there's something that is in your life right now that is inadequate, because it's an outdated, I think I said past its sell by date. So maybe truly look and have a look and see what's laying around. There might be something that's out of just expired, and you need to get rid of it. But that could also be very literal to your life right now. Like something is past its sell by date, and it's something that, okay, right? You thought you were done with this, that it was completed. Something was revealed to you in July that has now, and you feel good about it. You're like, I'm glad this is revealed. This makes me feel courageous, and this makes me feel like I'm gonna be able to achieve this now or get what I want. So the inadequate past its sell by date kind of fear or insecurity that is still plaguing you, niggling maybe only, or just nudging you towards the end of August, is in fact the issue that you're awakening to in order for it to be healed. Now, it's very much the same thing, or the link that somehow contributed to your experience in July of things being held up, delayed, uncertain. Were you afraid to address something? Were you afraid to follow up? Were you afraid to trust that this was all going to work out? Were you just afraid to claim it or to affirm it to yourself? What about any wounds or issues related at this point, Cancer, specifically to Nine of Pentacles in reverse, is a wound around self-worth, not charging enough for your services, not having good boundaries in terms of your availability or what works for you and what doesn't in your personal and professional world, leaking any kind of your precious energy with people who waste your time, people who are kind of like naysayers, I think, as well. And they're the same kind of people that are like, why are we bothering talking about this, Cancer? And you're like, well, you know what, I think it's important. The kind of I told you so moment may come, but I really do believe, Cancer, that, enough for you just knowing what you know, and you will have it vindicated to you somehow towards the end of August, seems to be more than enough without having to waste your time now, okay? So the wound or the insecurity or the trigger that comes up in the end of August, I get the impression that if you were to trace back to July, you will notice a similarity somehow in a theme that before you knew that this was actually not complete yet and going to work out and going to expand and there was more to the story, you were troubled by that same root issue, and it's coming up again at the end of August, but this time to be transmuted in another way, to be transformed into something a bit more powerful than powerless. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. I'm going to get into your extended, okay? Cancer, if this is all you're sticking around for, please consider subscribing, leave me a comment, like this video, whatever you feel like doing. And for everybody else, I'll see you in the extended. Bye.